Some books you read, others you experience. But then there are a very rare few that feel like the record of a soul descending into its own depths. What we're diving into today isn't really a book in the way we usually think of one. It's a profound, intensely private journey undertaken by one of the 20th century's greatest psychological explorers, Carl Jung's Black Books. With those words written on November 12, 1913, Carl Jung began. This wasn't just some intellectual exercise for him. It was a raw admission of being utterly lost and a deep commitment to find a way forward no matter where that path might lead him. To really grasp what these books are, we first have to understand the profound crisis that created them in the first place. Just picture it. Jung had hit a total dead end, both professionally and personally. His partnership with his mentor, the great Sigmund Freud, had completely shattered. He felt like he'd lost his way, that his own life had lost all its meaning. He was standing right on the precipice of what he would later call his confrontation with the unconscious. And these are the physical artifacts of that confrontation. 7 volumes, bound in brown and black leather, where for nearly 2 decades, Jung documented everything that was happening inside him. For years and years, they were hidden away from the world, their full contents a mystery to pretty much everyone. And that's really the key. He saw this as an experiment, and his own psyche was the laboratory. The risks were just immense. He was genuinely afraid for his own sanity, but he knew deep down that he had to take this journey to find his way forward. So, how exactly did he conduct this experiment? What was the actual method for this incredible descent? Well, Jung developed a technique he later named active imagination. It's a way of consciously talking to the figures that bubble up from your psyche. So instead of just dismissing a daydream or a strange fantasy, he would deliberately enter into it. He would speak to the figures he met, and he would treat them as if they were real. It's like a kind of dramatized thinking. Now, it's so important to understand this. He wasn't writing down what he had for lunch or who he saw that day. The Black Books are completely, 100% devoted to this inner world. You won't find any outer events in them, only the unfolding drama of his imagination. He approached it with a kind of scientific seriousness. These are the logbooks of a voyage of discovery, but the world he was discovering was his own soul. Every vision, every strange dialogue was recorded as raw data. No censorship, no trying to interpret it on the spot. So what did this difficult, rigorous method actually bring to the surface? What did Jung find waiting for him down there in the depths? When you read the entries, it's almost like you're reading a play. Jung's conscious self, his I, is a character in this drama. He walks through these strange landscapes and meets a whole host of other figures, and he gets into these long, often completely baffling conversations with them. And these figures, wow, they were often shocking. For example, he finds the wise ancient prophet Elijah paired up with the blind and seductive Salome. For Jung, this combination of pure wisdom and destructive sensuality was profoundly disturbing. And when he asks them why they're together, Elijah just says they've been together for eternity, which only makes it all the more mysterious. This really shows you the raw emotional honesty of this whole project. It's not some detached academic account. Jung records everything, his terror, his confusion, his anger when the figures seem to mock him, but also these incredible moments of profound beauty and spiritual ecstasy. We get to witness the full spectrum of a human soul in the middle of both crisis and transformation. And this is maybe the most vital thing to understand. None of the famous Jungian concepts we know today are here. The terms archetype, collective unconscious, individuation, he hadn't even invented them yet. The Black Books are the source, the wellspring. This is the direct, unfiltered experience from which all his later theories would eventually be born. So, if the Black Books are the raw data, what did he do with it all? Well, this leads us to his most famous and certainly his most artistic creation. This chart just lays it out so perfectly. The Black Books were his private laboratory, the spontaneous and unfiltered record of the experiment itself. The Red Book, on the other hand, was his attempt to give all this raw material a refined, artistic, and almost mythic form. It was his conscious effort to structure the chaos, to turn that initial confrontation into an integrated story. And the connection between them is so direct and profound. About half, 50% of the text in that beautiful, calligraphic red book is drawn directly from the handwritten entries in these black books with almost no editing. But that other 50% is just as fascinating. Now that the black books are published, we can see what Jung chose to leave out of his more public-facing work, the reflections that were even more personal, the dead ends he went down, the paths he chose not to take. It really gives us the complete picture of the process. So, this is the really crucial point, isn't it? How does this intensely personal, almost mystical journey become a major school of psychology, one that's used to help people all around the world? We can really see it as a three-stage process. First, there's the raw confrontation with the unconscious, which gets recorded in the black books. Next, that raw material is elaborated on, given this beautiful, artistic, and mythic form in the red book. And then finally, the universal patterns he discovered inside himself are systematized into the psychological theory that we know today. And Jung himself was crystal clear about this. He said that this period, this numinous beginning, was the absolute core of his life's work. Everything that came after, all the books, the lectures, the clinical practice, was really just an attempt to classify and integrate the overwhelming insights that burst forth during this time. So whenever we talk about Jungian archetypes like the shadow or the anima, or this incredible idea of a collective unconscious that we all share, we're talking about concepts that were born directly from this terrifying, beautiful, and courageous self-experiment. This was the source of it all. And that is the ultimate legacy of the Black Books. They show us the genesis of something truly unique, a visionary science, a systematic way of understanding the human soul that didn't dismiss visions and imagination, but actually place them right at its very center, creating a framework to finally understand them. In the end, Jung's journey leaves all of us with a really profound question. By daring to document his own descent, he showed that the path inward and downward, as frightening as it can be, isn't just a path into madness. It's also, potentially, a path toward meaning, toward wholeness, and toward the discovery of your own personal